and I'm here today with
Justin DeClue.
And calling Professor Xavier Cunningham.
I thought you were doing Magneto.
Oh,
yeah,
Professor Xavier, are you like all over the place like you are in X3? Where you're like, I should explain myself to you, especially you.
I don't need to explain myself.
Wolverine. I'm also in your mind, Justin.
Oh,
Okay,
no!
so we're talking about X3.
The Last Stand.
The Last Stand. It's confusing because these movies at least had the decency to call themselves 1, 2, and 3, but they also have the subtitles.
X3. It takes place mostly in a Vancouver parking lot.
X-Men 3. The Last Stand, and then the second one I realized today was called X-Men United. Like no one called it
Was
that
it?
at the time.
Yeah, it was.
Just called it X-Men.
And the first
2.
one was X-Men Answer the Call, right?
No, it's Fight the Future.
Yeah. No. It was Live, Die, Repeat. X-Men, Live, Die, Repeat.
So this movie came out in 2006. A much simpler time for
It was.
superhero movies, way before the Marvel Cinematic.
Bad. They were
way
bad,
before,
man.
I mean. When did
They
Iron
weren't.
Man come out?
Yeah, under the Tom Rothman regime, where he's like, I don't like these comic book things.
Well, come on.
I love.
I remember loving X-Men 2 when that came out.
I remember liking it and trying to convince myself that I loved it.
Okay, I thought it was like amazing, but I have not revisited it since. So.
Well, I mean, the X-Men movies are cursed. Like the directors who made them, basically Bryan Singer and Brett Ratner, two
They've
very
both been
bad
horrifically
people.
canceled. But so this is my pick. I absolutely adore the X-Men series. The X-Men. I love most of the movies in this
Now,
whole thing.
so
And-
were you an animated series fan, and that got you into
Yeah,
the movies?
yes, absolutely.
So you're a big Morph head. That's my favorite X-Men.
I don't really
Wolverine's best
remember
friend Morph.
But,
Morph?
yeah, when the first movie came out, I was just blown away that it could be so cool, that it was so understated, and I was like,
Wait.
well,
Understated?
Well, when you compare it to even this movie, like it's a lot smaller.
It was much simpler, and what I think April's trying to say, when I first saw that movie, it was kind of like, in retrospect, it feels a little quaint. Like it feels kind of like a high school production of X-Men almost, like with the level, because they weren't sure that these things were going to be huge hits back then. So, they're not going to get like $200 million budgets.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a gamble. So they kind of toned it down. It felt like everything was grounded and it was in a real world.
I love X-Men. I think that is such a interesting story, and these movies are good because they're not what Marvel movies are now, and I'm not saying all of them, but they're about moral dilemmas. They have moral questions in them, kind of like the original Next Generation, Patrick Stewart. And that's stated throughout all of the movies, questioning and the battle between Magneto and Professor X and these different philosophies, and it can easily be related to real things. People who are persecuted. A lot of people say it's an
that's
allegory
the basis
for
of the
gay people.
X-Men when Stan Lee
Exactly.
started writing it.
Exactly. So I was super into that and still am, and I liked the second one a lot. I thought it was fantastic, but this one I ended up liking a lot more. And later, even at the time, people were like, I didn't really like it. And
This was kind of critically shit on. Because
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
like X2 that was like the high watermark of the series at that point. And then this was such a letdown because Bryan Singer had left to go on to do Superman Returns. Wah, wah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll talk about poor
Yeah,
James
yeah.
Marsden,
Yeah.
who it disintegrates to go play just like a cuck in Superman Returns.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, though, I really, really liked this movie, and I acknowledged that I will acknowledge that it has some issues, but and then like years later, it was like it made the bad movie rounds. It was on the podcast and on the YouTube videos, and I'm like, come on, guys, it's not that bad. I personally love it, and I don't think it's a bad movie at all.
It's kind of like laughable going like with that in mind, going back and rewatching it and comparing it to like the bad superhero stuff now. And it's like, man, this is miles beyond like some of the bad ones I've seen
It's
now.
also not even the worst X-Men movie. I mean,
no,
come on.
no, not by a long shot.
Those Wolverine ones have some issues. Maybe we should do an
well,
episode on that someday.
I mean,
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
That's my favorite X-Men movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh, thank you, Justin.
Yeah, no problem. What did you write on the copy you signed? It
I
was
think
like
it was back to back.
yeah, back to back.
They fight back to back. X-Men Apocalypse is one of the worst.
Yeah, I haven't seen X-Men Apocalypse.
I love X-Men Apocalypse,
Oh
but
my
I
God.
like it because it's bad.
It's so
I think
it's funny in a bad way.
this is a classic April nostalgia pick, which I like.
Yeah.
And I will be very nice on it.
Okay.
Just
Thanks.
cool, calm. Yeah, I'm not even that passionate about X-Men 3. I saw it, very excited to see it in theaters. I really liked X2. And I remember leaving going, that's a lot of stuff done very cheaply. And that was my main concern.
Which is funny because it's the most expensive movie
Which is
ever made at the
bananas.
time. It was
really?
Yeah, it was 210 million or something. But it had a very troubled production. So Bryan Singer was originally supposed to direct, and then Matthew Vaughn came on. So Bryan Singer left.
That's right.
But the kick-ass guy?
Yeah, so
I don't actually like Matthew Vaughn very much, but
yeah, not really.
Might have been interested
No.
to see his version.
I'm kinda
of
the
this. I mean,
same.
that's what kick-ass
well,
was.
I have a little movie
didn't
for
like.
you called X-Men First Class, April.
Yeah.
Oh, he did that?
He
He did
yeah.
direct that.
I like that movie.
Which was really good. I think that was a smart reboot. Just like the time period, great cast.
I have my
terrific cast.
issues with that too, but generally, I thought that was a great movie.
Yeah, it was really good, really fun. So this one, Matthew Vaughn came on, and I think at that point, after Bryan Singer left, the schedule was just getting insane. Like it was so short. They signed Matthew Vaughn on, and then they gave him like a year to put it together, and he backed out immediately, saying like I can't
Not
put it
enough
together.
time.
So then they brought in Brett Ratner because apparently Rush Hour was a very kind of rushed production, and he turned it into a big hit. So they said, okay, he can like work within a tight deadline.
We got the man who made Red Dragon and After Sunset. You guys remember After Sunset, the heist
No.
comedy Brett Ratner directed that
Oh,
starred
God.
Pierce Brosnan, I think.
I've never heard
Really?
of that.
Yep.
I did not know that. Had he done Red Dragon at
Yes.
this point?
Oh, After the Sunset is what it's called. Yes, he had.
Really?
Yep, I think he had done Red Dragon, and then it was After the Sunset, and it feels like After the Sunset was such a kind of like meh that he wanted something that would, be big again.
Really?
Yeah.
And this opened huge. This was one of the biggest opening weekends, I think, of all time at the point.
I might have seen this in theaters twice. I'm not sure. Because I remember I went with my friends and we were out one night and we were deciding on what movie to see. And I remember my friend was like, oh, I don't know, that Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, that looks really cool, you guys. And we were like, no, we want to go see X-Men. And at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
I think
You're like,
we
get
all,
out of here, nerd. We're going to go see X3, The Last Stand.
Like, we all kind of
That
liked it.
series
but
will never last.
that same person at the end was like, I didn't really like the end. I would have preferred it if it was maybe like Jean versus Magneto or something like that. And I was like, well, you're wrong. But I can totally get where this person
we'll
is
get to
coming
it when we
from.
get to that ending. So.
Yeah, but the general thing I want to say about this movie is that I love that characters die, and at the time,
Well, they die because all of them want to leave this cursed franchise.
well, they don't want to be in the movie anymore. But at this
And
time,
Anna Paquin's like, oh, I'm starring in this movie? No, I'm not. See you guys later.
I don't
I'll be
think
back
that-
right at the end.
I don't think that they knew that there would be. They didn't know that the whole Marvel and even the DC stuff would happen.
No,
so
because at this
felt
point,
like a
the
proper-
rights are crazy. Like, the rights are all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this was 20th Century Fox. I think Avi Arad owned the rights.
The cursed
worst.
man of comic book
The
movies.
worst.
Yeah, he's the worst.
I'm just saying it felt like a conclusion. Okay, we're done. And I know that they had plans to do the Wolverine stuff after because everyone loves Wolverine, but
Yeah.
it's like,
What is your opinion of the James Mangold Wolverine films?
Which he did Logan, right?
Yeah, he did Logan
and
and
The Wolverine.
The Wolverine,
Well,
the
I
ninja one.
saw the Wolverine, and I can't remember much about it. But I loved Logan. But it's still sad. But
Logan's
very
fantastic.
Yeah.
The Wolverine, it's pretty good for.
Have you
like-
guys watched the extended version? It's much better.
Oh, really?
Like,
Okay.
I don't think
there's a
so.
whole climax where like Wolverine's tossing ninjas into like a thresher at the end.
Oh,
but then they
wicked.
cut out a huge action scene. Not sure why, but it's in the extended edition.
I thought it was pretty good in like how restrained it was. Like it
Well,
felt
there is a
very-
guy in a big robot suit. At
Yeah,
the
that's the one thing that
Until-
really doesn't work. Is
until
that big,
the last
Silver
act
Samurai.
is like
yeah.
they feel like they have to kind of go in this like outlandish.
Yeah, the Black Widow
comic book
curse.
thing. Yeah, which kind of sucked. I think it should have. I don't know, just been more grounded. I think, and it would have worked.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty solid. I think up to that point. But Logan was fantastic. I like that a lot.
But my point is just now there are never any consequences ever, and
Yeah.
even within movies. I mean, it's the same thing with those
Welcome
new
to the
Star
world
Wars
of comic
movies. It's
books,
just like-
April.
I know, but like, you know what? Can we have some big things happen and it just actually happen, or does nothing ever happen ever?
I think
I'm getting annoyed at this point.
This was the point where, this movie, especially at the end, kind of undoes two big things that it does in the movie, and I don't want to spoil it. No, it's two, but.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it did it subtly, and instead of just characters just coming back like within a movie or the next movie, because there's always going to be a next movie. I don't think they knew there was going to be a next movie. And
they hoped there was going to be a next movie.
I think all of this cast were like, this is it, and some of them did come back briefly in Days of Future Past, but more of a cameo.
They shouldn't have backtracked it in the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't understand why they always do that.
They kind of, it's like the Chewbacca thing in Rise of Skywalker, where it's like he blows up and then literally 10 seconds later he's
or even just C-3PO losing his memory. Why couldn't he have his memory lost at the end of the movie?
So they just want to have their cake and eat it too. And I think you have Magneto kind of losing his powers at the end, and then literally 5 minutes later or something, he's
in the movie
they're back, baby.
Yeah, but not everyone who dies in this movie comes back.
No.
And also
just the main things I'm saying.
Yeah, but also
my man Spike, the guy who throws the bone things, not coming back, I guess.
Yeah, and
you didn't like Multiple Man
after this
or
movie,
Blowfish.
Blowfish. After this movie, the X-Men movies have no continuity at all.
Oh yeah,
and every movie is practically self-contained.
It's kind of laughable at this point,
and that's what it became funny. At least 1, 2, and 3. They have continuity.
They do. They have some sort of continuity. Yeah. After this, it's
a free for all.
Just a free for all. It's like even the trilogy with James McAvoy and those ones.
Oh, they go nuts.
Every movie takes place in a different era.
10
years or 15 years after the previous one, and they all look identical.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's all right.
They don't really age them.
I wish they didn't age, because we could jump into the movie here, because we start with some de-aging technology in 2006.
Hey, now I'm going to defend this, Justin.
Me too.
Okay. I saw your tweet.
Bad.
Yeah.
But at the time, even looking at it now, I think I've seen worse current versions.
I agree.
At the time, this was like black magic. It's like, how the fuck did they do this? I've never seen
My argument, though, would be he looks like a melted candle.
He does. Especially the first shot where he kind of rises up into frame, his face is a little stiff.
It's kind of like my arm got chopped off and they gave me a new arm and it was like a broom handle. And I'm like, I guess this works. Oh, wow, I can move it. It's attached to my body, but it's still a broom handle, though.
I don't know. I think the Magneto stuff I thought was really good.
I think the Magneto stuff looks good. I think it's much more subtle than the
it is.
Patrick Stewart. I do appreciate that they started so we're in the past. Magneto and Professor Xavier arrive, and the camera pans up, and it's like, look at this guy's face.
Yeah.
Look how good we did it.
Well, I think it was more of you see the feet coming out of the car and standing, and then you're like, how could this be?
I think he looks fine.
Yeah. I mean, when this came out, it was mind-blowing. This had never, ever been done before. And
I vividly remember everyone making fun of it at the time, too.
I do not remember
really?
that
Well,
at all.
I'd have to go back and check it out, but isn't there a de-aged Patrick Stewart in X-Men Wolverine?
Yes.
And I remember that
is
one.
And yeah, he looks like butter.
Much worse.
He looks like Mr. Clean. Maybe it's just that maybe it's just the fact that he has no hair on his head.
It's difficult to hide.
It always kind of just looks fake. I don't know. But even Magneto's hair, he refused to dye his hair, Ian McKellen, so they had to darken his hair, which is really, really tricky.
I continue my quest campaign of just cast someone that looks younger than the person. It's like in this scene, Jean Grey shows up. It is not a de-age Famke
No,
Jensen.
of course not. Because the age
this was
difference,
only 20. I think they said 20
years
earlier.
previous.
Yeah, they're old guys.
Once you get to a certain point in your life, you don't look that much different from decade to decade.
They could have done it with makeup, I feel. But
I don't know. But I think when this came out, that was this was a treat of a scene to watch. Whoa, what the fuck? This is always something that they've talked about doing in CG, and that was the first time. But anyway, the company Lola, they still continue to this day. They're the kind of masters of this type of thing.
And a big move with this scene in this movie is altering the character of Jean Grey from what you've seen previously. Now, anyone who's seen the show or read the comics already know about the Dark Phoenix, but there's been different interpretations of it. And so she's really playing a different character in this than she is in the other movies. She's evil Jean, which I love, but it's kind of hinted at in the other two movies, but it's not really.
So I'm not an X-Men person. I didn't read the comics or watch the animated series.
The Dark Phoenix thing is incredibly convoluted.
Okay.
Colin. It involved like space wars and genocides and like going on a space planet. Basically, all the movies adapt is she's evil now. Like, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I remember
really
the Dark Phoenix one. It was always some alien entity that was like kind of attracted
that's
to
what
her
it
power,
is.
Yeah, so
took her over.
that's not what they did here.
This is like,
unless
it's like a part of her personality that has kind of takes over, that Dr. or Professor X is like suppressing.
Yeah, so it's interesting because when you see her as a kid, she's like, oh, she's evil. And then he manages to change her mind to create the Jean that you met in the first two movies, who is nice, but not as powerful.
But Magneto is
and
like,
again,
oh, Charles, I like this.
I know, but again, right away, you get this moral question, was it right for him to do that? And this goes throughout the whole movie.
It's a question of choice.
Because she is it's almost like she has a disease that is so powerful it could destroy the world, so we have to control that. But is it right to do that? Because
she didn't know about it. She had no idea that.
Well, I don't think she knew that she was so powerful she could destroy cities.
I wish that Jean Grey was more evil in this movie. All she does until the end is just stand around behind Magneto.
I think she's great, but she doesn't have a lot to say.
Yeah, or do.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to have
Krusty
a lot of.
the Clown will be appearing and not saying or doing anything.
She doesn't seem to have a lot of agency, other than she's just being manipulated and kind of trotted out by Magneto.
She seems like she is like a prisoner to her own strength.
She kind of like seems like she's in a daze.
Control, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like this is an X-Men problem I feel in the other movies too, or it's super movies in general, which is like pick one story you want to tell. Is it going to be the Dark Phoenix story? Okay, do that. Is it going to be there's a cure for the mutant gene? There's an interesting quandary there. Pick that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least they only picked two this time.
Yeah. Well, this movie, but then in our very next scene, we're introduced to Angel. This movie is very overstuffed.
Yeah, I would say it's very like what is this opening? You just get two separate cold opens back to back.
Three. We get the okay. Well, two, and then the third one is like the reintroduction to the X-Men in the Danger Room.
Yeah, because like Angel
really has no.
It's cool, I guess. That what they were trying to do was set up the guy who created the cure, but he didn't even really create it. They just found a mutant and it's not like we know this old white guy very well.
Yeah, and this is Ben Foster.
Oh yeah, I mean they needed these scenes. Ben Foster was going to be the next hunk, ladies and gentlemen.
He's a great actor.
Great actor.
He does nothing in this movie. He has like two lines.
What
I
are
think.
even his big roles?
He's like a sniveling weakling. That is his main thing that he does in all of his movies.
I know him, but I can't even
was
think of
in
a movie.
310
Warcraft. Hell or High Water. He plays the other brother that's not Chris Pine.
He was in that kind of like off the grid movie with his like daughter where they live in a forest or something.
I think I saw the trailer.
We live in a forest.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
He's like a supporting actor king. So he's in like Mark Wahlberg's Contraband, Lone Survivor, the Peter Berg movie. He's in like the Jason Statham The Mechanic.
I feel like that this whole storyline just should have been cut out.
There's absolutely
it's
no
too
need
much,
for
and
it
it
to
really
be in
doesn't
there.
tie into the.
No, and it doesn't. There's not enough either of what?
Well, it feels fan servicey, so people can go, "That's Angel."
I guess.
Oh, he was in The Punisher. Now that's a superhero movie.
Which
as
one?
Spacker Dave, the Thomas Jane one.
We love that movie, but I can't remember him being in
Wait,
it.
you love that? You love The Punisher?
Yeah, but I mean, it's terrible.
bad.
But it's
I think
quite
that
funny.
we're like through these all these episodes we've done, we found the kind of like everyone has like a sweet spot where it's like these movies mean a lot to me because they were in these development periods.
Right.
That wasn't a development movie for me, but I do love that movie. Tom
I saw it
Jane and
theatrically.
John Travolta. I mean, what else do you need?
John Travolta. That's an Oscar-worthy performance in that movie.
It's
Anyway,
great.
back to X3.
Yeah, and then we get Angel's introduction, which really creeped me out as a kid. It was just so gross. He's like hacking. He's like a kid. He's like filing and hacking off his wings.
Yeah, I mean, it's very like,
just the sound effects.
That feels like that's what should have opened the movie. Is that because it's like, ugh, that's gross. Like, is this what the movie's going to be about?
Yeah,
I agree, but then it's not. So
It just cut it out. Yeah, the father comes in. This dad looks a lot like
he looks like the guy in the first one.
Yeah, the senator.
Yeah, who like melts. And I was like, is he a liquid man?
melting guy.
Yeah, very, very similar look, and I kept getting confused every time he showed up on screen.
Was he the boyfriend in Carrie? You know, from the 70s?
He was in the original Willard. That guy.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, he's just like another character actor guy that I'm like,
I forget his name.
But anyway, he's like senator guy who created the Cure. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's barely in this movie, really.
This guy.
And then we cut to amazing credits that let you know which year we're in, because that means we got to speed through something. The song plays. I mean, it's no, I guess, Fight Club or the Scorpions fighting in 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
Are you talking about the CG credit scene?
Yeah, where it's like zooming through something.
Or like
the X-Men
the original,
still do that.
the original Spider-Man.
Yeah, original Spider-Man does that too.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, genes are forming. Whoa, they're mutating. I always loved those, and it's in all of
This
them.
one is like the Cure is being manufactured, and you could see that like attacking the mutant gene and stuff like that.
I think the Cure a very good concept, and that's a very good idea for a movie. And it's implied by the end of the movie that the Cure actually is not a cure.
It's just like, I don't know.
I know. It's like, why couldn't anything be permanent? I don't know. But
Whatever.
I think it's a good idea. I think I read that Josh Whedon wrote the Cure,
did he? Because he wrote the first draft, or he came on and did stuff on the first X-Men.
No, I think he wrote the comic book story that it was based on. I'm sorry to any of our fans out there.
It was a
wrong.
It was a run of Astonishing X-Men that Joss Whedon wrote.
Okay, yeah. And I've got to apologize because I'm going to be misnaming characters in this movie because I don't know.
I mean, the movie misnames them. They just like mix and match, and it's like, oh, this character can have this name, even though that it's not those powers.
Porcupine Man is...
Yeah, this was Tom Rothman's doing. Is he's like, we can't have two psychics in a movie. You gotta give him a different name, and it's like, huh? Okay, sure, whatever.
What was his name supposed to be?
I don't remember. I was looking through IMDb because I was like, all right, who are these characters?
Quill?
And it's like, oh, he has this person's name of... I'm not that familiar with X-Men beyond the animated series that I watched when I was a kid, so I don't know all the deep cuts.
Oh, okay.
Also, there's like a million X-Men, so...
Yeah.
There's
Because
a
I was like,
lot,
oh, the woman with purple hair is Psylocke, I guess. She never uses her power in this movie.
Oh my God,
but-
Olivia Munn herself.
No, it's a different character. She doesn't do her punch. She's not wearing the thong. So
That's the thing.
Is it really Psylocke?
Like, this movie is kind of what Marvel movies would become, which is, that's the character I know. I know that thing. And because I'm a huge comic book fan and I know those things. And even me as a kid was like, oh, that's the character from the cartoon. You know?
Well, that's how the opening after the credits is like, hey, you know Days of Future Past? It's that.
Yeah, it's the
but
Sentinels.
Not really.
This is a big deal, and I was kind of disappointed that they never did the Sentinels. It's the only thing that I really knew from X-Men.
Yeah.
Just the big
Don't they do
robots.
it? They do it in Days of Future Past, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
At the beginning. Then they go back in time to make sure Sentinels never get made.
Yeah, but aren't there the other ones that Peter Dinklage builds?
That's right.
Are they
The kind of they are.
Okay.
I think Sentinels. Oh man, I'm going back, but in the X-Men world, they were always around, though. That's always like, the Sentinels, they're here.
Oh, like
And
present day even?
Yeah, present day. They just kind of
okay.
stuck around.
Right. So this is our first introduction to, I don't know, the X-Men again. But it just became the Wolverine show at this point because he was like the breakout star. We kind of see the X-Men world through his eyes in the first movie, I guess.
And the second one, too.
Yeah, that was a choice for them to make the movie that way. But every other movie after that is like that. And is it because he was a breakout star?
Yeah.
Because if everyone was just like, I don't care about Wolverine, but this Cyclops guy, make a movie about him.
Yeah,
but that's not what happened.
Yeah, the most boring of all X-Men characters. Yes, I know he's interesting in some comic book runs. In these movies, he stinks, man.
Yeah, because
what a stick in the mud.
They just don't know what to do with him. And I think going into the first one, all I knew about Cyclops is that he was the leader of the X-Men. And then
the Leonardo.
at no point does he, take charge or look like someone that's in charge of anything or leading anybody.
Yeah,
he's just too young, I think. And
maybe, and I think the thing is his power isn't even that cool, and yet he can shoot lasers out of his eyes. Sounds pretty cool, right? But he never does really anything cool with that.
Not a whole lot. Yeah, he always
just blows a roof off of a place in that first movie.
He looks like he's out of a boy band or something. And I do like James Marsden. I like the fact that
he's a good actor.
He's kind of come into his own in like Westworld. He's getting some props.
But he's learned how to play.
We remember
into
Westworld?
Anybody?
No, it's canceled now.
I watched the first season. But yeah,
everybody did.
Cyclops,
That's
unfortunately, has nothing to do in this. They basically write him out of the movie at his own request.
Which is what happened because Bryan Singer wanted him in Superman Returns.
Doing nothing in Superman Returns.
Well, I don't blame him because it's like they're not going to do anything with him in this movie again. It's
I'm here. I'm ready to be Superman, right, Brian?
No.
This is Brandon
okay.
Routh. He's Superman.
You're going to be Lois Lane's boyfriend or
the Baxter of the movie.
Other than when Colin told me today, I didn't know I forgot he was in that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, how really? We watch Superman Returns all the time, though. That classic film.
I saw it once 10 years ago. No wonder I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember
Where
anything about
the big
that
climax,
movie.
Superman lifts something, and it's really hard. Anyway,
Yeah,
It's true.
the movie everyone forgot.
The Sentinels. We were introduced to. We got a little glimpse of Colossus in the last movie in like one shot.
I think he was turning himself steel.
Yeah, when what's his nuts? Brian Cox's
Trask. Wait, not
his
Trask.
soldiers like invade
Yes?
the X-Mansion.
No, not Trask.
oh yeah, there is a little beat where you see he turns into metal and comes at people.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Trask. What's his name?
Again, they have no idea what to do with him here. I like the Colossus. Is it Deadpool 1
He is
that
in
he's
Deadpool. But I was saying,
He's
like,
funny.
he doesn't
He's
have a
funny.
character. He has no personality in this
No,
whatsoever.
all he's there to do is to throw Wolverine because it's a thing from the comics. It's
Yeah.
the fastball special. That's
Yeah.
it.
It's like, I thought you were joking when you said that.
No, it's what it's called.
It's he's a prop, basically.
Pretty much.
He's a trampoline, essentially.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny. What's your power? I turn into a trampoline. Oh, I know how to use that.
We're letting you
need
go from
somebody-
the X-Men team. We ended up just getting a trampoline, and we don't need you anymore.
There is literally a character like that in the Marvel continuity in the New Warriors called the Speedball, and he's just bouncy. That's his powers. Also, he caused a horrific massacre in the Marvel universe, and now he's like a guy who wears gauntlets that cause him pain at all
Oh
times.
God.
Because he can bounce really high.
Yeah, that's right. No, he caused an explosion that killed like 15 people in the Marvel comics. So.
That's not so bad.
No, yeah, more people die,
relatively
and I mean, Jean Grey kills more people in this.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh
Only
yeah,
at
so
the
does
end,
so does
though.
Magneto.
Magneto kills a lot of people in this, too.
Yeah. They don't shy away from that. So we get the Sentinel scene, and it's just, Storm is trying to get Wolverine to work with the team, but man, he's a lone wolf. He does things his own way.
Yeah.
He's a lone Wolverine.
Didn't you learn this lesson, Wolverine, over the last two movies?
Yeah,
Nope, Nope. It goes back to the same
He's
every
like,
time.
I do my own thing. They're trying to teach, the young X-Men
Yeah.
some tricks, I guess.
How
One
to
of the
work
main
together.
issues I have with this movie is that, like, for the first 30 minutes, I was like, I like this. This is fun. Lots of stuff is happening. But, like, almost no characters have any agency beyond Magneto.
Right.
Like, Wolverine just kind of hanging out. When stuff comes up, I guess he'll go do it.
They're reacting.
Yeah, they are.
I think Jean has agency, but again, she's like kind of possessed by this alternate personality.
I don't know.
And you don't
No,
really
she
know
does.
what
I don't
his
think she
character
does.
She's like,
wants.
no, she's like in a daze, and then
Yeah.
she's just like literally like just
being
sort
like
of handled-
passed around.
passed around like you would coddle like an old woman or something like.
Because, like, her
come this
agency
way.
is like, what does she want?
Well, we don't know.
Want anything?
I don't
yeah.
know, if she wants anything, but so. After the danger room, we get Cyclops is sad. He's sitting in his room. He decides to go up to Alkali Lake, where the
And he
last
had-
movie ended. Mm-hmm. Jean was like, "What did she like? A dam broke or something, and she drowned." Or
Yeah, she like let the plane take off without them, and
She was
like
holding all the
stopped
water
the
back,
water. But it's like funny when you think about like how limited her powers were in those first two movies compared to this one.
yeah, this is insane. But then we get Kelsey Grammer, Beast.
I
he's so
absolutely
good.
love him as Beast.
Now,
it's perfect
the
casting.
First thing I thought watching this is that I've talked to special effects people, and they say that if you've been drinking the night before, it is incredibly hard to keep makeup on people's faces. This was a problem with Ron Perlman and Hellboy.
You're kidding,
And they
because was the alcohol dissolved the glue or something?
Yes, that it doesn't stick on the face. And so I can only imagine trying to apply the stuff to Kelsey Grammer, probably just like drunk and coked out.
He is so good as Hank McCoy.
So good. He's like the ultimate live action Hank McCoy.
It absolutely
I
is.
have a
And I'm like,
feeling-
why wasn't he in the other movies?
I have a feeling this is. I'd heard about that. Like people, it was like fan casting. Like, oh, you gotta
Yes,
get,
it was.
You gotta get
It
Kelsey
was fan
Grammer. He'd be
casting.
perfect.
So was Patrick Stewart.
That's right.
They were like, well, he looks like the
and
character.
Patrick Stewart's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So there was a magazine called Wizard back in the day, and every issue they'd be like, we should cast this person because they look like this person.
Yeah.
And it would always be Patrick Stewart because he looks like him. And I mean, let's be honest, what is Patrick Stewart doing at the time of X-Men? He's like, yes, please, give me any movie role. I'll love it.
Well,
yes.
yeah, it's like right after those Next Generation movies ended, he just slipped right into this. In fact, that last Nemesis might have been after the first X-Men. I think it
remember.
definitely was.
Oh, did you hear about?
X-Men was 2000, was it not?
Remember, like after,
yeah.
after Logan, he's like, I'm retiring the character of Charles Xavier. Blah blah blah.
Unless they, a dump truck full of money.
Exactly.
To be honest, a
He's like,
wheelbarrow full
you know,
of money
I
would be
can't
good.
possibly have been in a better movie than that.
Wait, what
this
movie
character.
was it? I can't even
It was
remember.
Logan.
Doctor Strange.
No, Doctor Strange. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
he
'cause
came back.
And then he says, but I will only come back under any circumstances. Beep, beep. It's like,
Well,
here's
he's
your
coming
paycheck.
back to everything these days. Picard season 3
Yeah.
on TV right now.
Is it? Well, that's
yeah.
it, isn't it? I think that
Last
he's so
season.
old.
Yeah.
He's very old and he sounds very old.
It's kind of neat though, watching him in Next Generation,
Yeah.
watching him in this, and then watching him in the new Picard. It's like he's kind of old in all of those, and yet completely different.
I know, but his voice,
Not
I think
completely different,
he
but-
just looks so frail in Picard, and his voice is so like raspy and old and blah blah blah.
I mean, look at Ian McKellen these days as well, still playing Gandalf.
Yeah,
I mean, okay, it
he's
was
got
a few
that
years
voice
ago
though.
now.
Oh man,
I think-
playing Gandalf like 10 years ago, and also if you
Wasn't
watch the
10 years
documentary, he's like weeping on his first day because he can't believe that he has to do this stuff in a green hell,
Yeah.
not acting with anyone.
Don't blame him. That's a good clip. It's online.
I mean, yeah, Peter Jackson led it to be in that documentary.
yeah,
It's
well,
great.
He probably felt the same way, Peter Jackson.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That is the
I
most.
gave you all the clues.
That is the most miserable I've ever seen Peter Jackson in my life, and I felt just so bad for him in that
I
documentary.
mean, there's a reason he hasn't made a fictional feature film since those Hobbit movies.
That-
I think they broke him.
there was just that picture of
Yeah.
him on set
Wow.
when he was trying to figure out the battle scene, and then they just took a lunch break because he couldn't figure it out. And
Yeah.
He's just like sitting like on set by himself, and he
Well,
just,
there's that famous like 5-second clip of the camera just zooming in on him
Mm-hmm.
from like far away, and he's at a table. He's like staring off into the distance.
yeah, it's like the
Poor
1,000-yard
Pete.
stare. I don't blame him. Jesus, God.
He's like Charles Foster Kane though, like living in a giant mansion. He has everything he ever wanted.
Yeah.
but he can't make movies anymore. He can't make movies.
he just does these documentaries now, which are fine.
Yep.
Well,
Here's
getting
the
back to X-Men.
yeah. Introduction. Bill Duke as Trask.
I was like, whoa, what? He's in this movie?
Yeah, he's Trask, I guess the creator of the Sentinels, who is Peter Dinklage in Days of Future Past.
So he got recast, unfortunately, but great to see him in this.
He's only in 2 scenes in this
Oh,
movie.
really?
Yeah.
It felt like more.
Yeah, he just like
Because he's such
This
a...
movie is so big in April's mind. I love it.
It is big.
It's crazy.
So many character actors are in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of like good actors.
Oh
in
yeah.
this.
Well, there's the classic "We shot this in Canada" character actor that shows up later on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and they show that they caught Mystique, and she's being interviewed by Chilton from Silence of the Lambs. That guy.
Oh, yeah.
Who is another character actor.
Mystique gets the short shrift in this too. Is that like, yeah, it seems like she'll be a big deal in this movie until she's not.
That's my main point of contention.
I
with the
feel
movie.
like that might have been her thing as well. I know she was getting more and more annoyed with the makeup process.
Makeup.
I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was Rebecca Lawrence's thing. Are you saying
As well.
Rebecca Romaine too?
as well.
Nobody likes putting that that makeup on. It stinks.
Oh, it's terrible. And then
Looks so good though.
She, her eyes, I think, were done digitally in this movie for the first time because the contacts are so painful.
Ugh.
Yeah, I can
uncomfortable.
understand that.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, like she spent most of the time just in human form in the other movies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
I know.
Even though the whole
and that's because
point-
they were all contractually obligated to appear in those movies.
Yeah, but
She's
it's like her well, she was less famous when she did the first one, so but anyway, Mystique is an amazing character. I loved her in the first one. She's in it a lot, and she's in the second one a lot. She's just so cool. I love watching her do fight scenes and stuff. And so she gets like one tiny one here, and then she's just like completely shafted, and it's like,
Yeah,
you know.
she doesn't do a whole lot. Yeah, it might have been, it's like everybody just wanted out of this movie.
Kind of feels
What's
like
wild
that.
about this movie is that it's like only 100 minutes.
Yeah, it's shorter than the other
That's
ones.
crazy.
Unimaginable in today's day and age.
Well, it's funny,
Oh,
when
yeah.
April was like, oh, we should watch it. I'm like, oh, God, it's probably, I remembered it being like 2.5 hours or something,
No.
just because every movie is now.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, 146 or
145,
something. Like,
yeah.
amazing. This is perfect.
We go to a collection of mutants who are deciding, should we take this cure that's out in the world? And of course, it's led by Julian Richings, legally obligated to appear in every Canadian film.
Yes. If it was shot in Canada, he's in it.
I passed him like 4 weeks ago or something.
Oh,
I was,
yeah?
I was coming out of the butcher.
Does he live in Vancouver? I feel like he does
I saw
because
him
he's in so
here.
much Vancouver stuff.
He
Yeah.
probably lives here.
Even
Or
the,
maybe
the
both.
actor who plays Colossus, I think Daniel Cudmore, he's from Vancouver, and I think
Also,
Sean Ashton,
Iceman.
Iceman is, yeah.
Yeah,
Sean Ashmore.
Sean Ashmore has a twin brother, and his twin brother was in Treed Murray with the Julian Richardson.
There you go.
The April classic, Treed Murray.
It is.
But we do get a quick scene with Professor X, and again, this movie just bounces around. It's like breathless. It's just like, just slow down and
Well, it almost feels like it should have been 2 hours because it's like, what's going on?
Moves
Come on,
pretty
slow down a little
Yeah.
bit.
We
It's
get
just-
introduced to Kitty Pryde in this, who is in the other movies but played by different actresses. Not really a character. But I felt like they were like, we need more people on the team, so how about Kitty Pryde?
Yeah.
You know? And I like Kitty Pryde. It's
A
fun
big
character.
fan favorite from the Chris Claremont days of the X-Men. She was kind of like the central, the Wolverine of that series, as the kind of like, oh, this is the audience surrogate for these wild X-Men adventures.
they had some horrible stories about working with Brett Ratner. He was just like extremely homophobic
And inappropriate.
inappropriate.
and sounds
Well,
like a
you've heard
terrible
all the
director.
wild Brett Ratner stories, right? Like the famous
God.
one that he stinks, just smelled like shit, and would like continually have his hand down his pants.
Oh,
And then
God.
he would then go to the crafty table and eat stuff to the point that the crafty had to tell people like, don't eat that, because he put his hands all over it.
Oh, it's so gross.
Gross.
What a gross person. Anyway.
But anyway,
In many ways,
we-
not just food hygiene related ones.
Well,
Yeah.
this is another thing. So the movie's constantly bringing up kind of like ethical dilemmas, and here's one of the things that we set up. The kind of stinger at the end of the movie is that his Professor X's friend Moira.
Moira McTaggart, who
McTaggart.
would appear later in the series.
Is this the first time that she's been in these movies?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
She has like a patient who was born with no, I don't know, higher brain functions. So he basically has no conscience with a physical body. And he's like, if someone were to transfer their conscience into this body, would it be ethical?
And they don't really say whether it would or not.
He's
Well, it
interrupted.
depends if it's me or someone else.
Exactly.
If it's me, then I would like to continue living, please.
Please.
Just put me in a robot body. That's a reference to Picard.
Wait, wait. Does Picard
Sorry,
get a
spoiler
robot
for
body?
season 1.
Yeah, he dies in season 1 and they resurrect him in an android body.
that looks just
Wait,
like him.
no way.
Yes, it's so stupid.
But that's kind of what happens in this.
Does he have like weapons?
No,
Can he
no.
like shoot
No,
spikes
no,
out of
he's
his
just
hands?
an old man.
He insists. He's like, I want to be the same age and I want to live as long as I would have naturally lived
But
anyway.
give me a bigger hog, like down to my knees.
a huge cock.
I will say, okay, guys, at this moment, he stops mid-sentence and like stares off into space. What is he thinking about?
I think he's
Is he-
I can't wait to get out of this movie.
Is he realizing that the cure is being made? Is he realizing that Jean Grey is out there somewhere? Is he realizing that Scott Wolverine?
remember.
What is he?
Brett
thinking
Ratner's
about?
been at the crafty table again.
The very next scene is the cure announcement. So,
But he acts like he
It's a
didn't.
cure.
so he
announcement.
probably, I think he says like, "Oh, they're announcing it now on television."
Yeah, and then Storm is like, "You know more than you're saying, don't you?" But he's just like, but like, what does he know? He just knows things are coming.
Yeah,
Something
so
is
this
happening.
government, they've found a cure. It's sort of introduced in the Bill Duke scene that they've found a mutant named Leech, I think. What is the actor's name? Asa Butterfield?
Asa Butterfield.
Asa Butterfield. That can like strip mutants of their powers. So they've developed like this cure that they can, if people want, they can take it and it'll cure them, quote unquote.
Man, sorry. I was just looking at Asa Butterfield and his credit. It's wild. He was one of those like it guys where it's
Yeah.
like he's Hugo.
Yeah, he was.
And he's in that Tim Burton movie with the the children. They're peculiar, like the X-Men.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He was Hugo.
I didn't
He
know.
was. He was also Ender in Ender's Game. So he had his little run.
Oh, yeah.
I thought Hugo came later. Whatever.
Yeah, 2011. Hugo Cabaret. Cabaret?
Cabaret.
Cabaret, yeah.
Are you talking about the
I
Martin
love Hugo
Scorsese
Cabaret.
movie? I thought that was
yep.
a different kid. Anyway, not important.
No, it
yeah,
doesn't
he
matter.
was kind of everywhere at this time.
He was, yeah, because you got to get him in
Oh.
as many things before they age.
Yeah. Hang on,
Wait, am I looking?
Was it a
Wait,
different
is this-
person?
Yeah, wait a minute. Ace. I don't think this is Asa Butterfield in X3.
Yes, I was right.
What, is it not?
It's a kid
No,
that
it's
looks
not.
like him. It's the kid from
Yeah, because-
Birth.
Yes, because Asa Butterfield was in Son of Rambo in 2007, and that was his first role.
Who's the
Son of Rambo.
Different kid.
Oh my God, who's the lanky kid in Power of the Dog?
I don't know.
Another
Is that Asa
guy.
Butterfield?
Oh my God.
All these bald,
Wait.
like little.
Who is this kid?
Little-
Who am I?
Same Birth. That's all I remember.
If we were to
the
transfer
Nicole-
Asa Butterfield's mind into a body without a conscience,
So
this guy's
he's
name is
played by
Cameron
Leech.
Bright.
Oh, Cameron Bright. That's
And
it.
April was right. He also had a little run because he was in Running Scared,
He
that
did.
Paul Walker movie.
Good movie.
He
Yeah,
was
great
in
movie.
Twilight too, wasn't he? I think he was in the later Twilight movies.
He was in Juno, RPG Nerd, and yeah, he was. He was in Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn.
RPG nerd.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, he was in 3
that
Twilight
was his
movies.
mutant name. RPG nerd.
Wolverine, this is RPG
Anyway, he
nerd.
doesn't really. I mean,
Yeah, pick a number. I will give you a random one. That is my power.
he's really only in 2 scenes in this. Like Hank goes.
Whenever
to
he
visit
hits
him.
you, numbers float up in the air to show how many hit points you've lost.
And yeah, I love the scene where he goes towards him and his hand becomes.
I
less
don't know
furry.
why I sound like I'm 80 years old.
Yeah, when Hank McCoy goes to meet him, it is a really good scene. Kelsey Grammer plays it very.
Well, he plays it like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I haven't seen my own hand since I was, 11 or something.
Since it fell off 5 minutes ago from alcohol. That was just real time. That wasn't even a visual effect. It just dissolves. How much booze has he had?
Side note: I like Storm's new haircut.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
it looks good. Storm, not much to do in this movie, which I feel like I'm saying a lot with characters.
I read that she said, "I'll be in this movie, but you have to give me a bigger role. I want to be the leader of the X-Men," and she kind of is, but she doesn't really have a lot of character stuff. She's more just reacting to stuff. She gets a lot of fun action scenes.
I'm the leader of the X-Men as long as someone tells me what to do, whether it be Patrick Stewart or Wolverine.
I was reading on IMDb that that kind of like spinny thing that she does in the fight
Yeah.
scenes would always make her vomit. So the crew would always have to have buckets out whenever she filmed. these
She's
action
really
scenes.
doing those?
Apparently, I
Yeah,
don't know.
get a stunt person to do that. Like, come on.
Oh, poor Hallie.
Oh God. Yeah, so here we get Julian Richlings. He's trying to so they've announced the cure. All these mutants are hanging out at this church, and he's trying to rally them, say it's not a bad thing, and it's whatever. They'll allow us to take it.
We
if
get
we
a
want.
like a mutant gang with tattoos.
So
Yeah.
I think these are supposed to be kind of like the Morlocks, which were something in the X-Men series, which were like mutant that live in the sewers, because it's like the mutants that are like too ugly or too weird to like live in day-to-day
Well,
life.
that would make sense because otherwise it's
And-
just like, who are these people?
Yeah, what a motley crew
I
of people.
think they're part of the Phoenix Saga, because I know it involves like the Hellfire Club. I think she commits like a genocide on the Morlocks,
Wow.
which is like one of the big things. And yeah, that doesn't happen here.
Julian Richlings definitely looks like a mutant.
Well, Julian Richlings, anytime I'm like, who's that guy again? I'm like, who played Death in Supernatural? Okay, there he is.
Another show that was shot in Canada.
That's right.
Yeah.
I know him from Cube as the guy who gets cubed
No, that's
in the
right.
opening scene. And many other things. But yeah, so obviously Magneto comes in.
Steps out from the
and
shadows.
He's his very flamboyant way of addressing people. Which
They're
I
not
just
gonna
love.
let us choose.
He's so good at this role.
I know, he's great.
he's fantastic.
I love him.
And we get his little wiener sidekick, who is unfortunately
like Pyro
in this
or
movie
something?
Too much.
Fireface or whatever.
I
his
didn't
name
think.
is.
I thought he was just fine, like in the second one, but now he's just like such a dweeb.
He's such a dweeb,
Well,
but he's like.
I mean, he doesn't really do anything. He's like, tell me what to do, Magneto.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just like his number 2, but he has such a punchable face, and it kind of works for the
haircut
character.
doesn't help.
Yeah, I don't know who he reminds me of, but it's just like, oh,
He's
you
a
wanna
little
strangle him.
weaselly. Yeah.
He's just like a little weasel guy. I don't like him.
I
But
think
then,
at the time people thought he was like a heartthrob. I guess.
yeah,
I
I
don't
thought
know.
Sean Ashmore was kind of.
Well, he's
more
much
the-
cuter.
But yeah, so Magneto kind of says, no, it's bullshit. They're going to just like force you to take it, and they're not going to give you a choice. He kind of like gives a big speech and rallies everybody and kind of like gets all these like punk kids to join his gang.
Yeah. So who is this like run fast lady? Does she have a name?
They're nobody. Like they're just like made some people up. Like Blowfish Man, whose power. Like it's so funny. This Blowfish guy, he needs to like get them in a hug to be able to use his power.
I was saying, I was
Yeah.
like, can he shoot his quills?
No, we never see him do
Quill.
that.
It's
Yeah.
a porcupine, not a blowfish.
Okay.
What? He's a blowfish because doesn't he blow up? Like
I think his
you know.
name is Quill.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Quill? Okay.
Yeah,
He
it's kind of a
doesn't blow
sucky
up.
power. He doesn't blow up, but there is one. It's like,
Oh, that'd be so funny if he blew up like a balloon and that's how his spikes come up.
and then they like capture him and like eat him at a sushi restaurant.
Oh no, but they ate the poison part.
Yeah.
You got him.
I will say this movie does suffer from too many jokes and too many like funny mutant power things.
At the very end, definitely.
Well, in this scene too, like you have the big fat guy, and then he sits down in between two people and becomes like smaller.
Yeah.
It's just like okay.
So there's like there's a meme, and I've seen this. The guy at the end who's like, "Come on," you know, to Wolverine.
Yeah, come on, and his arms
Yeah,
grow.
where's that meme? Like, I was searching for it. Like, where did I see it? Because I know that's a meme.
There's probably a lot of things that are mean.
Oh, and he-
Come on!
when he kicks him in the nuts.
Oh, you know what? That's my favorite thing. It's the guy who's like, "Come on!"
Arm Man,
Salami
Yep.
deli man.
The deli man.
Brooklyn guy whose arms grow.
Like, is it only his arms that can grow back? 'Cause,
yeah.
like, Wolverine cuts his arms off.
Yes.
And then he grows them back, and he's like, "Come on!" And then Wolverine kicks him in the nuts, and the guy goes, and Wolverine goes, "Hope you can grow those back." And it's like, I mean, I assume he can.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Well, he didn't like kick them off his body.
How would you find out that you had
Here's
that
a couple
power?
of acres.
So did this guy just get an arm
Maybe
cut
he-
off one day and then grew back and then he realized that's my mutant power.
Maybe he worked at a factory or something. Or-
Yeah, it's like one of those safety videos where he's like, "Ah."
Good thing I happened to have an arm growing back power.
Well, maybe he just cut himself and it grew back.
yeah, maybe he,
Like,
maybe he just
yeah.
like worked at that famous deli in New York.
I don't think it's only arm-related powers. And that guy, like, what is his strategy? Just kind of like
Just punch
swing
people.
toward Wolverine to let him cut his arms
Yeah,
off.
he doesn't look extra strong or anything, but he,
Come on.
he's like, you know, he's making like potato chips. He's got like a mandolin slicer.
yeah,
and
he
he's
cut
like,
his finger
Yeah,
off,
yeah.
took his finger off. Hey.
And then it grows
They
back.
grow back.
Yeah.
Come on.
Do you think he become like a chef and he like feeds people human meat, like the greatest delicacy?
Oh, that'd be
Feeds people his
amazing.
own arms.
Yeah. I feel like that's the plot of something.
say-
I've seen that somewhere.
They say man is the most delicious game.
Come on. All right, we jump okay, so where are we now?
we're at,
We met Magneto. Magneto.
He's like, "Yeah, you remember me."
Well,
Yeah.
he talked to lady who can sense mutant powers, and he's like,
Yeah, and he's
"Where's
like,
the mutant
"Oh."
now?" But before that, Scott goes to Alkali Lake.
Alkali Lake.
Alkali Lake.
Alkali Lake.
It's hard to say.
He's on his motorcycle. I wanted to point out that 2006, everyone is wearing bootcut jeans in this
I
movie.
did notice that Wolverine.
Holy cow.
Big on the boot cuts.
He's always got like flared pants, but everyone in this movie is wearing boot cut. Even like Iceman at one point. I'm like, fuck, is everybody wearing boot cut?
It was the style at the time.
And boot cuts back.
Yeah,
everything
you can still get it, right?
Everything that was popular in the 90s and the 2000s is now back, especially with jeans.
The worst type of jeans.
There's a lot of jeans in this movie. There's jean gray, there's mutant jeans, and boot cut jeans.
If there was a guy that he could just like he could turn into jeans, that'd be so funny.
What, Denim Man?
Like a pair of jeans.
Yeah, Denim Man. Well,
or like
does he
his
turn
body
literally into a pair of jeans, or is he just made of denim? Don't get me out in the rain.
The Canadian tuxedo. He would be like,
Yeah.
it would just be
That's his name, the Canadian tuxedo.
it would just be a jacket with like eyes on the back or something. I used to wear a Canadian tuxedo back in the day.
I've always
That does
been
not
very,
surprise me at all.
I've been very conscious of I can't wear a jean top if I'm wearing jeans, but jeans are all I have, so I don't wear a lot of jean jackets or jean tops.
Speaking of jean, so Cyclops goes to Alkali Lake. He has like a freak out, and then Jean Grey comes back.
So I guess what happened was she was calling to him because she needed his laser eye power to blast her out of her cocoon. Her cocoon. It's very The Last Airbender, really. I mean, that's exactly what happened to Aang.
Everything always comes back.
I love that M. Night movie.
Only he was in a frozen ball.
Patrick Stewart does say cocoon, and it's really funny in this movie.
She was in a protective
It's like if I had a cocoon, I would like one, like Wilfred Brimley.
Or that man without a conscience.
How much time is supposed to have been passed between like the last movie? Like a couple years?
I don't know. I don't think they ever say, but it looks like the dam is still busted in the background.
I mean, actually, if you judge it by like how long her hair is compared to the last movie, so it's been like at least a couple years. Her hair grew longer.
She grew it out underwater
and dyed it red. Because the Phoenix has red hair now. I don't know.
She can probably grow her hair like instantly, like with those powers.
Is that part of psychic power?
Growing power.
I don't know.
And my nails.
She's like controlling other people to see that she has longer hair. She's twisting her mind.
Oh, she's like hallucinating them.
Yeah, exactly. She's like
kind of like Luke Skywalker's projection at the end of The Last Jedi.
There you go.
But yeah, so they make out, and then something happens. We don't know what.
And then
I have a memory of seeing this in theaters and seeing him be like disintegrated, but maybe that's just something I made up.
I don't think that ever happened. But I like that.
So maybe he didn't die, and he was like, "See you guys later," and he just drove off.
His face gets like.
It goes all like turns to jello.
I don't know
it's
what
like
you
rippling.
call that, but it looked cool. Rippling.
Yeah, they kind of cut away, and then Professor Xavier is like, "Whoa!" It's like you can
get to Alkali Lake.
Oh. Even like Logan runs out of his room, and he's like, "What was that?"
So they go there, they fly there, and they step out of the ship, and Halle Berry has this weird line and weird delivery where she goes, "You don't want to be here." Why did she say that? Why did she say it like that? It's so weird, and it's like an ADR. And then Logan goes, "You do? What?" I think they were just trying to fill silence. I don't know. But it's like, why would you say that in that situation? We're here just to like rescue somebody.
She's saying it like she's reading his mind. Like, you don't want to be here. But it's just weird.
She ain't psychic.
Well, it's just how she delivers lines.
I have seen this movie a lot, so there are certain things that always stuck out to me, and I'm going to probably bring them up. But yeah, so they
How many times do you think you've seen this movie, April?
Well, I owned it on DVD, so I don't know, 15 maybe.
Wow. Okay.
It was a favorite of mine. I mean, I can't say it was a long
Now, what
time
did your
ago.
friends think? Did you watch it with your friends a lot?
Well,
Were
I
they
saw
like-
this in theaters, I recall, but so I don't know if we watched it after
Now,
that.
did this lead to like X-Men obsession? Did you read the comics or
No.
no? Okay.
No, it was pretty
So
much
just these
ended
movies.
with this, and then I saw all the other movies. I've seen all the other X-Men movies, although I didn't see Origins until way after it came out, and I was disappointed.
So, like, if I were to buy you a X-Men related thing, it would have to be a part of this trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, within that stylistic template. Okay.
Yeah, yes. I was just thinking, like, I should try and read the Dark Phoenix saga. I would probably like it, but I don't read comics because I don't know where to start.
Just start with Chris Claremont, X-Men. That's probably the best place.
Or
Yeah.
just watch the movie Dark Phoenix.
Oh, I have a podcast for you called the Very Fine Comic Book Podcast.
Oh, you
Available
shill.
at all.
Are you guys going to talk about manga at all?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to do manga. We'll probably do X-Men because my co-host on it, Mike Wood, is very familiar with that, and I am not. So that'd be fun.
You're not familiar with X-Men?
No, not the comics. I haven't read that many.
Really? You seem to know everything about this. I know nothing. You're like filling in all the background and all these characters.
I know like the broad strokes from reading Wizard magazine, and you just get the general idea of stuff.
Right.
One thing we haven't mentioned yet is there's like kind of a love triangle between Kitty, Rogue, and Iceman that's like barely even in this movie. So it's kind of like, why is this here if you're not going to do more with it? It's just like another story
big
thing.
issues is like, what is Rogue's power within the context of these movies?
She can like drain people.
Yeah.
She can like leech other people's powers and use them, but it also like
but
hurts
she like
them.
never does that.
Yeah, in the animated series, and I think the comics too, basically she like killed Captain Marvel, the woman version, and stole her powers. So she could fly, she was invulnerable.
Super strong.
Super strong. And she could also suck people's power, or she could like kill people by touching them.
Yeah, but she doesn't seem to do anything that I remember in any of these movies.
I know, and I like that. I like her in the first movie. She's a teenager. What was it like when she first started? But she never gets to do shit in the second or third, or in the later ones.
Especially this one. I feel like it's just her looking out windows at other people doing stuff.
She's like, I'm gonna get the cure at the end, and I loved her in the cartoon. She was so badass, and she had like a really cool Southern accent, and like. She's kind of doing it.
And it's Anna Paquin too. Like she's a good actress.
She's a good actress, yeah.
So like do something with her. But so this whole love triangle is set up just to sort of push her to get the cure, to want to get the cure. But it has nothing. It just has like no.
And at the end, she just gets the cure. She's like, I got it. Okay.
And there wasn't anything going on with Kitty and Iceman anyway. So
it
it's
was
just
kind of
like window dressing, it felt like, but whatever.
Something that I felt was missing from this movie is I wanted to see them like imposing the cure on mutants.
Well, they kind of go straight to using it in a military sense.
Yeah, they do. But like you don't get enough of that, of them being like, whoa, they're forcing it upon us against our will. And do we, like they say that they're going to do that, right? That all the mutants have to become human?
Well, Magneto's kind of implying that.
But
then I think the president at one point is talking to Hank and he says like, how can we have diplomacy with like a guy that can like move mountains?
Yeah,
with his
so
mind
that gives you the sense that they were probably going to start making it mandatory and rounding people up just like they would in concentration camps.
Yeah,
because what's weird about this movie is that there's no kind of like the cure's still around, like they're still giving it at the end of the movie.
Yeah, like you can get it if you want it.
Yeah, so it's like they introduce it as like you can go to this clinic and get April said it was like going to get a vaccine for COVID.
And as we know, April is very anti-vaccine.
No, it's like you go and get it and it was like people like
idiots across the road like chanting
with
placards and stuff. They're like, we don't need no cure. So they rescue Mystique. We get another Angel scene, like Ben Foster. He's grown up. He's about to take the cure, doesn't, and then just jumps out a window and flies away.
Why did you just come here to jump out the window? Wanted to show you my sick abs, Dad. Look at them.
It's just weird. This whole character has no real payoff. Like, he ends up saving his dad at the end, but there's no point to it. It's just cut all this time out, give it to other characters, flesh out.
You could cut out all the Angel stuff and not lose anything.
Oh, for sure.
No,
100%.
It doesn't affect the plot at all. At the end, like he swoops in and saves his dad, but like that didn't have to be there. It doesn't have to be him. It didn't have to be.
It doesn't end up like convincing his dad to change his mind or whatever. It's just you never see them again, and it's just flesh out the other characters. There's too many
argument for the cure too, and they talk about this where like Storm's like, oh, or someone said that it's part of who you are, and it's like I'm an inside out man. I don't want to be inside out. There's a guy that gets shot by the cure when they charge at the end, and he's like an inside out man.
He's he's kind of see through. You kind of like
is he like running toward the cure? He's like, please shoot me.
You bring up a good point. And Hank does say this at one point because Storm is like, this is insane. This is genocide. And he's like, well, some people might want it, and I think that's their right. I mean, if I could not be Harry, and that would be my choice.
They play a little fast and loose with that in the 60s series one with the James McAvoy series where it's like him and all these big actors don't want to be in makeup, so it's like Nicholas Hoult and Jennifer Lawrence are mostly like human.
Oh, I created this serum that suppresses our genes.
Yeah. It only comes out when I'm angry in a fight scene. When it can turn into my stunt double.
which, in other words, kind of defeats the purpose of all this mutant stuff if it doesn't affect us at all.
Yeah,
Anyway.
exactly. So
Anyway, moving forward here.
we get a pretty fun Mystique rescue scene. Magneto and his new crew break Mystique out of this
we get a great character.
truck prison.
Multiple Man,
Oh God.
who has 2 lines in this movie.
Yeah.
Were there Multiple Man fans?
I don't
No.
know. Who is this
Well,
actor?
maybe in the comic books. He looks familiar, doesn't he?
I think he
like
just
you're
looks
like,
like
He looks
an
like
everyman.
generic. He just looks like a
He looks like Seth MacFarlane, kind of.
like generic person. But it looks like, I don't know, a bad stand-up comedian that you'd go and see.
Yeah.
That,
Yes, like an Adam Carolla.
That
kind
never
of.
never quite makes it big, but he's always around.
And then, of course, we get Juggernaut.
God.
Who's his character?
Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones.
Famous.
Who's this character? Yes, the classic Guy Ritchie character transposed to the X-Men universe.
Feels like a character. At
He
this
tells
point.
you as soon as they open his prison door, he's like, "Oh, I'm Juggernaut."
And then, unfortunately, Mystique gets cured with a cure gun, which is at the point where they were like, what the fuck? We didn't even know it was in guns at this point. And I feel really bad. But
Magneto is so cold to her in this scene. He's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're not one of them." Or you're not one
And
of us.
Magneto's like, I hope it doesn't happen to me, because wouldn't that be, ironic?
also, he objectifies her by saying, it's too bad. She was so beautiful. Beautiful? She's been kicking ass for you for 70 years at this point.
I think he meant
so-
like she was more beautiful in her blue form.
You're right.
She was so beautiful once.
And also they banged, so they had a long standing.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, is that a deleted scene? I don't remember them banging.
It's in X-Men First Class.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was Michael Fassbender, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That's
because
smart.
I was like, wait.
Also,
so,
Meg-
X2, they had sex?
Ian McKellen as Magneto, clearly gay, right? I mean, he's very flamboyant.
I mean, he has a little pyro boy toy
he
walking
does.
around with him the entire time.
He's got his cape.
He's great. But now we got to go to Jean in the X-Mansion. This is where Patrick Stewart is like, "Fuck you, Logan,"
Yeah.
basically, which is a great.
I don't have to
dressing down
tell the
scene.
likes of you.
Yeah, so
I don't
she,
have to explain myself.
she kind of wakes up and explains to Logan that Professor X has been suppressing the Dark Phoenix side of her all these years, and she's like, he's probably in your mind too,
Yeah.
like controlling you.
And we get hot makeout scene. Although where she makes the belt fly off is very cheesy.
Yeah.
But we're all supposed to laugh at that, I guess.
Yeah, she she throws Logan against the wall. She escapes. Professor X comes downstairs like, "What have you done, Logan?"
When he gets thrown against the wall, it looks so hard.
That's
I was like,
yeah.
is that a person? It didn't look
Yeah.
like a CG.
I was thinking that when I saw it today. I'm like, holy
whoa.
shit, that's a hard impact. And then, he kind of calls Professor X on it, like, you were suppressing it. And he's like, well, I did the right thing. And, I don't have to explain myself.
I mean, what do you guys think? I kind of think he did do the right thing.
Yeah, I guess.
But it is morally ambiguous.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this movie.
Yes. So
Yeah, we go to Magneto HQ,
which looks like a crumpled up piece of paper.
yeah, I said it looked like something that Frank Gehry
It looks
designed.
like crushed up garbage bags, like on the walls.
It's like crumpled metal, but it looks like tinfoil, and But yeah, this is like the most like Vancouver. We get to it later, but his
Vancouver
whole rallying speech in front of this crowd in the forest is like, okay, this is Vancouver.
Oh, yeah, that forest, man. Like, Vancouver is hell.
Oh, yeah.
Like, kind of
time.
wet trees. You expect Mulder and Scully to be walking around in the
Yeah.
background somewhere.
It's like we've got 6 shows shooting in this forest at the same time.
Yeah. If you look closely, you can see the supernatural boys walking around.
So they all return to. They find out that Jean has gone back to her house, which we saw in the opening in the flashback scene. This is my favorite scene of the movie.
No, this is my favorite scene.
Okay, fine, you take it. This movie does have some really good scenes. I think this is one of them. This is
I think
excellent.
this scene is like the best thing in like all of the X-Men movies. You get fun fight stuff outside, and then inside a psychic battle, the likes of which have not been seen since Boarding House. Remember that movie, you guys?
Deep cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think the CGI looks so good. Okay, the thing I really like is I really, really like the the makeup design on Jean when she goes full Phoenix. It's
all the
not what you would
veins and stuff.
expect. It's gray and zombie-esque, and like the eyes go like black, and it just looks so cool. I just think it's a really, really good choice. And there's so much tension in this scene.
Yeah, like Charles and Magneto are kind of going at it. Like, Magneto's kind of goading her, like, come on, like, let loose. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
It's really good, yeah.
And he fucking dies. Like, and not only dies, he blows up into a million pieces, which is very
I thought
violent.
That was pretty funny because Charles Xavier is like, oh, don't go too far. Then he smiles because he's out of the movie. And then he
goes, oh, my contract is finally released.
And he ascends the heaven of being able to just hang out in his mansion reading Shakespeare sonnets.
Exactly. I love the fight that's going on between Wolverine and Juggernaut and Storm and the other girl.
Lady without a name.
They're always like in the background of each other's scenes, each other's fight scenes. So it's like this controlled chaos. It's really, really cool. And you see like Juggernaut they're always like breaking a piece of the house off. And
I absolutely love the special effects in this scene of things floating because a lot of it looks practical. Is it?
The house getting lifted up is a model house. It's a practical model. So when they drop it down, it smashes. It looks fantastic. It's really, really good.
Nice. But yeah, just like things in the room and like earlier, like in the hospital thing, it's just like, it's probably just done with strings, and that's what you can tell. You can tell, people. Now it's just not as good. And then it's probably all CG, and I didn't even know. But
there's some CG floating stuff in this movie for sure.
Obviously, but like I feel like when it's done practically, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, this is
if it was done practically.
Terrific scene. Xavier explodes. Then we get the sad mutants. They're all at the X Mansion.
Not a very big turnout. I mean, at his funeral.
I don't know how many people.
Man, they turned around that Professor Xavier like headstone real fast.
That's what I was thinking.
On it.
A mutant made that.
Do you think they already had it like made?
Like, oh, he's gonna die any day now. So let's get it ready.
It's just like all rushed in with like paint.
It's like that's something you would expect at the end of the movie,
for sure.
It feels like the movie's like, oh, let's take a break here and then we'll move on to the next part. No rush.
Yeah,
it kind of feels like that scene should have been the climax of the movie, but
yeah,
obviously not. We had to have.
Well, no, not the death of Professor Xavier. That's an end of Act 1.
The kind of funeral scene, at
the
end.
funeral scene.
Yeah, it should just be something maybe back at the mansion of like Wolverine talking to Storm, like, okay, we're gonna have to lead them now, and blah blah.
This is an issue. Is that like there's not that many X-Men in this movie?
I know.
Like there's a lot of characters, but it's just Wolverine and Storm.
We're running out
Office,
of
I guess.
Yeah, as far as the people that we know and have followed throughout these movies, it's really just Wolverine and Storm.
Oh, this scene is funny though. If you look at the extras in the back, like the quote unquote mutants, some funny faces in this funeral scene. Really funny. Yeah, so Iceman and Kitty Pryde, they have their like
they
little
ice
scene.
skate.
She's feeling sad, and then he like freezes the fountain.
It's a cute moment, but
But Rogue is like looking out from the
looking
window.
out from a window angrily. Maybe I will get that cure.
I feel like that's all she does. It's just like kind of look at camera, like I don't know, wistfully or something like that during this whole movie. It's too bad.
And then now we have all the Vancouver stuff in the woods. We're kind of in the woods for a while.
They introduced the sort of clinics where you can go and get the cure. Pyro and Iceman kind of meet at one because Iceman's looking for Rogue. She takes off.
Why was Pyro there?
Because he blew it up at the end, remember?
Oh, right. It was like a demonstration.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, I guess.
And you just want to punch Pyro's face in this scene. So
He's a
smug.
dweeb.
And then,
they have their little, face off.
Yeah, so then we get an Arlie Ermy cameo.
Yeah, what is up with this?
So I think the president, they're just like, we got to protect the laboratory on Alcatraz Island, like, send out all the forces. And then we get, Arlie Ermy, like, all right, pick up your weapons.
Plastic, absolutely no metal. Like, why? It was distracting to me that they have a known actor just doing a voice cameo.
I don't know.
They want all the stars in the sky to appear in X3 The Last Stand. That's why the movie was so expensive at the time. Arlie Ermy, Bill Duke, Julian Riching. Like, oh, man.
Okay, so...
we get Wolverine fight in the forest.
We get...
you get fighting the Bone Man who shoots bones.
This, this scene is so funny. Well, not the fight scene, but just like a collection of tents in the forest. It looks like they're like a bunch of goths are going to do like a forest rave or something.
Yeah, it looks very inexpensive, if you will.
It did. I will admit to that.
I don't know. I guess this was at the point... I don't know if like filling out scenes with CG people was very common. Maybe it was.
They did it in Forrest Gump.
Yeah, they did. That's right. I don't know.
The Forrest Gump, Act 3, The Last Stand. Yeah, that's
Hell's Kitchen.
similar.
Or MasterChef.
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
Lord of the
Anyway.
Rings movies, sure.
Okay. But we have to get
We're covering
to
the whole gamut on this.
the third act. Our X-Men are suiting up. Hank McCoy is back in an ill-fitting X suit.
I feel like this is the only reason why they have the lab on Alcatraz Island was just so they could have this Golden Gate Bridge scene.
Yeah, because I was just like, why is this in this movie?
I don't
I
know.
guess just because it looked cool.
It looks cool. It's a big...
Maybe it was in the comics. I don't know.
It's a big thing. Yeah, which is kind of weird because you go back and forth with this like super expensive looking scene. Apparently, according to the producer, this took like $35 million to do visual effects and the set that they built.
I can see it. It's a big fucking big.
Like,
it doesn't
oh
get
my
much
God.
bigger than this. And maybe they also wanted Magneto to have a moment where he just does something big.
Like it looks really cool, and you've never seen his powers used to like
Not
at
to
this
that
scale before.
degree. Yeah.
But it's pretty funny. It's like you're trying to like invade this island. Like, wouldn't a boat be better? I don't know. Something more
Too
stealthy.
flashy.
It's all about style, Colin, and how you come in.
Charles always wanted to build bridges.
Do you think he wrote that like note and he's like, how can I implement this in some way on a large scale?
Also, he's a little cavalier considering one scene ago he was telling Pyro, like, Charles did more for mutants than you'll ever know, you little shit.
Yeah, he's like.
So it's like, now you're kind of poking fun at your dear friend.
And also, you're
died.
building a bridge connecting it to the mainland. It's like you're just giving the army a way to like come in
It's true.
and like attack you from the rear.
Oh, I
Which they
didn't think
do.
about that one, but the joke was very funny, wasn't
I
it?
just really wanted to say that bridge line. I've been sitting on it for years. Are there any more bridges around here?
Okay, so we get the big
My
battle.
boat joke didn't sound as funny.
I'll move it again, and I'll say the joke again.
Oh, I've got to, I've
can
got
do
to
it.
work on some new material.
I mean, and anything of note during this, there's a lot of quips, a lot of jokes.
Almost too many.
Wait, like the big action scene at the end?
Yeah.
Like,
Come on!
yeah. I mean, I'm the juggernaut, bitch. We got that.
Oh, well, that was a famous meme, so they had to do
Yeah, I
that.
know. But I don't. I actually love the lighthearted tone that this movie has, but sometimes it feels like it's fighting with the more serious tone. So I prefer the Jean Grey house scene, which is playing it straight.
Which is great, yeah. But they kind of like, all the jokes are kind of pushed into this one scene, and they just happen so quickly after one
Yeah.
another. It's just like, it's too much.
And like, Pyro's like, you should have gone back to school. And then he goes, you never should have left. I mean, that's not even a joke. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be funny.
They have their little Mortal Kombat fight scene.
Yeah. They rescue Cure Boy.
Kitty Pryde.
And then they end up curing Magneto. And they're like, let's work together. And what they do isn't even that complicated.
he just does another fastball special.
Exactly. And then Hank comes up behind him. That's it. Like,
Jabs him.
yeah. And then we get the even bigger climax, which is Jean Grey goes insano. And
He like obliterates like an entire army pretty
it's
much.
pretty
Yeah.
crazy watching people get disintegrated.
Yeah. There's a lot of
So
them,
one of
too.
the things about this climax is she has no agency in this. She just gets killed by Wolverine.
And quite
Yeah.
easily, eh? One
Yeah.
stab and she's dead.
Like in the comics, she kills herself. Like she makes a
Oh,
choice
okay.
to kill herself.
Well, because, you know, the other personality wants to kill the evil personality because she realizes she's an insane murderer and she can't be controlled, so she wants to die. And I love the look on her face after he stabs her is she just looks at peace. By the way, Famke Janssen is fantastic in this movie. I know that we had saying we have issues with her having agency, but she's a really good actress and I like her, and she often doesn't get enough to do.
I wish she would have been used more, or just
I
sort
mean-
of taken the lead and sort of done something instead of just being this prop that is trotted out.
She needs the agency of her classic character in Deep Rising, the Treat Williams film.
Classic
Yeah.
movie.
And
Trillion St. James.
Ivanka on a top or whatever.
Xenia on a top
Xenia on
and
a top.
GoldenEye.
But anyway, again, the special effects in this scene are bar none. I think they're fantastic.
It's weird. It's like a weird combo of looking cheap and expensive at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but you know, when they kind of face off with with all the mutants going to face off against one another. It's like they're really spreading that line thin to just make it as wide as possible.
Yes.
It's like maybe 20 people.
I love the stuff where the psychic energy is like blowing Logan's skin off. It looks
that's
so
really
good.
Yeah,
and I've always loved the healing effect of him. It has like a little sound effect, and back in 2000, CGI was pretty limited, but I thought it looked fantastic even then.
Here is great. Yeah, there's one part where his chest gets all burned off, and you see like his rib cage,
the metal,
it's
adamantium.
Really cool.
It's very great.
Why don't his pants should get blown off?
Well,
it's like his dong,
His little adamantium dick.
Yeah. They made it adamantium.
Well, yeah, he's like, oh, I have a healing factor, except my balls. That never grows back. That's why I said that to the come on guy. Because, wait. So Wolverine and that guy have basically the same powers then.
Yeah. Only his
So
arms
they have healing
just grow back
factors.
fast.
Yeah, I guess. But Wolverine, you couldn't cut through his adamantium. But the adamantium wouldn't grow back.
But the adamantium was added by scientists.
What was that freaking guy's name? The bad guy.
Trax?
No,
Wasn't
the
it? No.
other guy. The other.
Not Trax.
Yeah. He's played by
Brian Cox.
Brian Cox.
Mr. Succession.
God.
I can't.
I'm gonna look right
I
now.
can't
Brian Cox,
remember.
Stark.
X2.
No, wait. No, that's Tony.
Tony Stark. All I see is Brian Cox defends Bryan Singer. It's like,
Oh, boy.
not a good look.
Get on.
William Stryker.
Stryker.
Jesus
That's right.
Christ.
Stryker and Trask sound very similar.
No, they don't. But
Okay,
We're driving everybody.
Stryker and Stark sound similar.
we're starting to all the people are just like, it's Stryker, for God's sakes.
Anyway, the movie is over. We get another funeral scene. Not really a funeral, but like a headstones.
Mm-hmm.
And
For all the other characters that wanted out of the movie,
I guess
it
that's
should just be the
right?
actors' names on the headstone. James Marsden.
He says, "Well,
And then, the next role they have, it's like, see him soon in Superman Returns.
and that's it. And then, of course, the last scene is Magneto is sitting down to play chess, and you realize he can still move.
The chess piece just starts to move a bit, and then it smash cut right to credits.
I love
but
that.
it's like, don't do it so soon.
Wait, so is he in a dream or is he not? I'm not sure.
I don't think he is.
No, I think
Okay.
it's up to you. It's like, is he just such a
It's
powerful?
like Inception. Is it?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it in the dream world?
Yeah.
or
Is he
it not?
such a powerful mutant that the cure wouldn't work on him, even though he got stabbed 4 times? Or does the cure have a expiration date?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it probably has an expiration date.
Yeah, you got to
Do you
keep
think
it
he like shit himself when he got hit by the cure? It's like
Oh,
you're
yeah.
supposed to give 1, not 4.
Yeah.
But like,
Okay.
it's like, oh, so sick.
The stinger
What if Magneto
scene.
just died? He's like, you stabbed me with like 4 things.
Yeah, he's like, I'm really
He's
old.
an old man. Okay, the stinger scene. I never knew about that the first time I saw it because I didn't watch until the end of the credits, of course.
I mean,
so-
I love Stinger. He's my favorite character. Big B man.
General Stinger.
Yeah. So it turns out that his consciousness is in this body. And, okay. But then, like, 2 movies later, he's just back in his old body. So that was
he
when
got
they
plastic
got
surgery. He's a robot.
that was when they were like, we can do anything we want. We don't have to explain it.
Toss the continuity out the
just
window.
looks like Xavier.
I was
again.
very confused when this scene happened because I remember when, like, the first time I saw it, I'd completely forgotten that quick scene that set it up earlier in the movie. And I was
Yeah.
like, what the fuck was that?
And who is this person?
Who is
Yeah.
this person, and why is Professor Xavier still around in a bed? I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
So there you go.
But now we know better because
Now I know
stingers
better.
are always happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch that scene. I left the theater so fast, I left like a little cloud of smoke behind to go buy my ticket for X3 again. 'Cause it's
Or
round
maybe
2,
did
baby.
Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the movie. I still love this movie. I think it's fantastic. But obviously, I can acknowledge that there are things that could have been better.
There are issues, but
I feel like it doesn't deserve the reputation it
no.
has.
I think it was just, if it wasn't coming off of X2, maybe people would have felt differently. But I can only say, like, people, it's fine to be kind of let down by it or, disappointed in some way, but I don't know, thoroughly entertaining.
I mean, please watch the Ghost Rider movies if you want to see bad superhero stuff.
Like compared to bad movie superhero movies that I've seen recently or in the past like 10 years, this is fine. This is a perfectly entertaining movie.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I think it could have trimmed out some story threads and fleshed some out more. I think Anna Paquin gets the short stick in this one.
Mystique got the short end of the stick. I think overall, I think it was really fun, and I think it was a fun representation of the Phoenix and the Cure storyline. They make some references to it in the other Dark Phoenix movie, even though it has a different origin.
Which I barely remember in that.
I saw it in the theater. I went by myself one day, and I thought it was fine. But you could smell those reshoots, and it was a problem.
It seemed like that was one of the movies where they finished, and then it came out 2 years later or something like that. It just sat on the shelf for a while. And then
it was a Fox issue because Disney bought Fox. And then they're like, what are we going to do with these movies? I don't know. Dump New Mutants and Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, and I think, didn't the actors have to come back a year later to do reshoots for it or something? It was just I don't know. I remember not hating it because I was expecting that.
No, I liked it. But
much better than Apocalypse. Holy cow.
I got to watch that Apocalypse again. I got to see me some Psylocke.
Oh, God. Poor Oscar Isaac.
What does he say when he touches the TV again? He's like, I know everything.
He says, I'm learning. Anyway, we went a little long this week because it's X-Men. So if you want to find this, it's all on Disney Plus. All the X-Men movies are on Disney Plus. Yeah. I think except the Deadpools. But I didn't search for it. So
this one looked great too. It's 4K HDR.
I was going to say the 4K scan looks fantastic. Yeah, sounds good too. And if you want to email the podcast, we're at no such thing as a bad movie at gmail.com. We're on Twitter at no such thing pod. And you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/no such thing as a bad movie. And if you subscribe at the $5 level, you will get a little bonus episode every 2 weeks, and you'll have access to over 100 of these episodes. And we just released one on talking Oscars, talking about the Oscar movies, a little bit about the nominees.
The snubs, the flubs.
And what we think
and
may
all
happen.
The stars.
And if you want to find me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at April Atmansky.
You can find me on Twitter, DeClueJ, or every week on the Very Fine Comic Book Podcast. Check it out.
Jesus Christ. You can find me on Twitter, Sergeant.
Well, did I say it too loud for you?
Yeah,
You're like, oh.
Shocking.
It was like a command. I think I have to go listen to it now.
Yeah.
On Twitter, Sergeant Zima, SGTZIMA.
And that's
sure about that, Colin?
I'm pretty sure.
That's it for this week. And thanks for joining us. And as Magneto would say, what have I done?
As Hank McCoy would say, oh, my stars and garters.
Yeah, that was a clunker of. I don't know why he said that. Because he's like an old time. That's
his line.
Oh, is that from?
As Wolverine would say, snicked.
Oh, God.
That's the sound of his claws coming out.
I got it. I'm April Atmansky.
I'm just the clue.
As Deli Man would say, come on!
Come on!
And there's no such thing as a bad movie.